Code 652, learner-to-teacher ratios. The code provides that staff shall be allocated in a manner that will be educationally sound, instructionally appropriate, and fiscally responsible. We would like to work with you in revising the code to better allow educationally sound and instructionally appropriate class size decisions. We're asking parents and community members to believe in our Vision 2031 of Great to World Class. On the Vision 2031 website, Dr. Mipiri Reed states, every child in Hopkins deserves the best. The current Hopkins School District maximum class ratio of 30 to 1 and the current plans of having several sections of 28 to 29 students per teacher in the incoming fourth grade classes at Meadowbrook is definitely not world class and doesn't give our children the best education and learning environment. Why does student-to-teacher ratios matter? Well, besides the obvious that students get a closer connection with their teacher in a smaller class, which leads to many benefits, research indicates that smaller class sizes ameliorate the effects of large schools like Meadowbrook. Fewer students are held back one grade, higher graduation rates. While all students benefit from smaller classes, research shows that minority students benefit the most. And this is particularly important in Hopkins, where our Vision 2031 explicitly provides for the goal of eradicating racial and income predictability outcomes. Looking at the caps in high-quality neighboring district show that our closest competitor, Minnetonka, has a cap of 27 to 1. Edina also has a cap of 27 to 1. Wayzata, 28 to 1. As you may know, Hopkins is currently aligned with Robbinsdale, which has a cap of 30 to 1 also. Robbinsdale has battled for years against its poor reputation and ability to retain students. Hopkins School District, and especially Meadowbrook, has traditionally seen high levels of open enrollment. This is good for our district and has enabled the district to maintain focus on the goal of becoming a leader in providing world-class education. With fewer students, we lose funds, which means that it will be more difficult to achieve a world-class education. This is serious. We're seeing neighboring school districts, such as Minnetonka, actively trying to recruit our current and prospective students. Finally, please remember that Minnetonka, Edina, and Wayzata have less economic diversity than Hopkins, so we have additional challenges in our district. We also have more ethnic diversity than the surrounding districts, which is one of the reasons why I personally chose to move back into the Hopkins School District, because I think that's so valuable for my children. But it does create resource needs. And promoting the diversity and having lower class sizes than the surrounding districts could be a huge selling point for Hopkins. While, on the other hand, it will be really difficult to retain students with the currently out of balance ratios. So in order to address the most urgent issue of student retention, which is imperative in order to achieve the long-term stated goal of providing world-class education, I would propose that we work together to immediately decrease the cap to 27 to 1 in all Hopkins District elementary schools, pending a full review of what are the benefits of further reductions in class sizes. And I also quickly wanted to mention that there are 2 petitions currently out there. One to keep 5 sections in the incoming fourth grade classes at Meadowbrook. Currently has 247 signatures, I believe. And there's a second petition for a 27 to 1 cap in all the elementary schools in the district. And I believe that currently has 354 signatures. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm Stacy Anderson. I have 2 children in the Hopkins School District. I also appreciate you very much letting us be here tonight and speak with you. I'm going to go add on to what Jenny had to say. Great to world class. World class does not mean elite or exclusive. It means the best, and every child in Hopkins deserves the best. An honest question for you. Does 29 students in a classroom with 1 instructor represent the best that we can offer for our children and our teachers? I'd like to present with you a key aspect that I feel is being underrepresented in consideration of our class sizes. This being the students of ours with individual education plans, an IEP, or a 504. those with other special accommodations. A quick breakdown of an IEP versus a 504 for those who don't know. An IEP is intended for children with a specific set of diagnoses who require special education services. These students receive federal funding and additional services in the classroom. A 504 plan is intended for children with a wide range of disabilities who are able to participate and succeed in a general classroom. A number of accommodations and modifications are made for these students to succeed in that classroom. A student with a 504 can range anywhere from a child who has a food allergy, to a child with diabetes, to a child with behavioral issues such as ADHD, and the list goes on. Each of those children require special attention from the teacher and instructors throughout the day. That is in addition to the attention that each student requires with the basic intention of our classroom, and that's to learn. If you're still asking why should that affect our class size, it is because the amount of time and attention that the teacher needs to put into these students individually on a daily basis. Yes, students with an IEP have additional funding and resources for special education services, but this does not mean that the teacher is not involved in that student's care. They must know the ins and outs of that student's IEP, and they must attend regular meetings in regards to that child. For students with a 504, that care lands solidly in the hands of the teacher. At Meadowbrook, we have a fabulous counselor support specialists who each have a hand in the care of these students, but they are not in the classroom on any regular basis. The teacher in the classroom who takes on the day-to-day support and accommodations of these students. The teacher must be an expert in the signs of and symptoms of a high or low blood sugar with that student with diabetes. They must know the best practice in how to handle the child with ADHD. How does that particular child learn the best? They must know every item of food that's coming into their room to protect that child with a peanut allergy. Can our teachers protect these children with special accommodations needed with 29 children in the classroom? Can our teachers still provide a world-class education to these 29 children while protecting those with an IEP and a 504? I ask you to reconsider Hopkins School District classroom size cap and to please take the safety and education of each of our students into account when those decisions are made.
I'd like to speak briefly about the choice that my husband and I made for our children to come to Hopkins schools. Did we know anything about the Hopkins Schools Great to World-Class mantra when we chose Meadowbrook? No, we didn't. But what we did know was that in the Robbinsdale School District, we definitely weren't getting great, much less world-class. Based on the physical constraints of our neighborhood schools building in Robbinsdale, most grades were restricted to 3 sections and still had small class sizes, yet teachers were burnt out, and it showed. Despite the smaller class sizes, which were typically around 22, 23 students, behavioral issues disrupted class. Frequent teacher absences and substitutes were the norm when my oldest was in 2nd grade. In fact, it was her teacher that year who suggested she would be better served if we left the neighborhood school for the district's School of Engineering and Arts. While still in Robbinsdale, our daughter's 3rd grade class had 24 students. And that same year, as a kindergartner, our son was in a class of 25, and he hated it. I'm not a teacher, but I'm pretty sure that when you hate kindergarten, you are not in for a good academic career. We knew we needed to make a change, and that change was open enrollment to Meadowbrook, specifically with the Hopkins district. Within a short time of enrolling at Meadowbrook as a 4th grader, my daughter was flagged for speech services, which is something that should have been caught earlier. She was also flagged for gifted and talented eligibility. While she had access to G&T at her prior school, it was for approximately 30 minutes a week, not the 30 plus minutes a day she gets at Meadowbrook. My son also was subsequently flagged for speech services as well as gifted and talented eligibility at Meadowbrook. He's had a series of amazing teachers and smaller classes in his 3 years at Meadowbrook, and he truly enjoys school now. We have been absolutely thrilled by the dedication and engagement of the teachers at Meadowbrook and the administration's support of those teachers. Our children have thrived there. And while it won't be easy next year with our daughter at Hopkins North and our son, a 4th grader at Meadowbrook, with the varying school hours, the commuting, we are committed to staying with Hopkins. But with that said, when I compare the long view of Hopkins' performance relative to the neighboring districts, whether in the form of graduation rates or math, reading, science standards, Hopkins is trending closer to Cooper and Armstrong than it is to Minnetonka, Edina, and Eden Prairie. I believe we aspire to be more in line with the latter schools than the former, and a lower student-teacher ratio is an important component that contributes to that performance. While a group of incoming fourth grade Meadowbrook parents have galvanized this effort, we are by no means only concerned with making those fourth graders the target of reaching great to world class. This effort's about ensuring all kids in the Hopkins district, in the earliest elementary grades to the ladder, to the junior highs and the high school, that they have the educational experiences that fit the great to world class mantra. Thank you for your time. I look forward to additional conversations with Dr. Mary Perry Reed and any other interested members of the board.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Macalino. I have two children at Meadowbrook. I believe that the number of students in a class impacts the quality of the teaching and the quality of the learning for the students. I know that my child will do fine in a class of up to 30 students, but fine is not good enough. I have come to expect great from my experiences over the years at Meadowbrook. The vision for the Hopkins School District to move from great to world class feels empty with allowing classes to have 30 students in them. I want Hopkins schools to have a reputation for world-class education that makes it a destination for students. I believe class size is one factor that would help achieve this. I am confident that the fourth grade teachers at Meadowbrook are very capable and will do a fine job teaching up to 30 students. Again, fine is not good enough. I want Meadowbrook and all the students and all the schools in the Hopkins School District to be a destination teachers choose to work because they know that they are supported and that they are set up for success. I was a proponent of the Vote Yes and Room to Learn initiatives. I believe our children should have adequate spaces to learn. I know one of the obstacles with the Vote Yes campaign was approval from the City of Golden Valley. The main justification for the expansion was that Meadowbrook needs to be a 5-section K-6 school to remain viable. It is disappointing that the current plan is to let one of the newly built classrooms go unused. I know one of the other obstacles for the Meadowbrook expansion was concern from the City of Golden Valley that there wasn't enough space for cars to queue when picking up students at the end of the day, and thus creating safety concerns while blocking roads. The additional purchase of the nearby Boy Scout building and surrounding property has alleviated this substantially, but I now question this cost given the limited funding available to afford additional FTE. I value the high-quality teachers I have come to know at Meadowbrook and the quality experiences they can provide to my child to help them expand their academic and social-emotional skills. I would prioritize hiring quality teachers to keep class sizes small, over funding for additional classrooms that will sit empty, unused office spaces, and individual iPads for students that's starting in kindergarten. As a co-president of the PTO at Meadowbrook, I have been approached multiple times about ways to help prevent bleed of in-district students into the Minnetonka School District. Class size is one measurable data point that parents consider when selecting schools. It is one factor that enables a classroom to build stronger student-to-teacher relationships and the many less measurable factors that allow students to be engaged and to find success. I encourage us to work together to find solutions. Let's not accept a policy just because it has always been this way. We need to re-examine Policy 652, learner-to-teacher ratios, and we need to be bold as we decide what makes a school district world-class. Is it aligning with some of the poorer performing districts in the area? Is it aligning with the higher performing school districts in the area? Or is it setting a new precedent as the Hopkins School District moves towards world-class? Thank you for your attention.